We're rolling.
Okay. Hello, Dzień dobry, or Dobry din, we say in Russian. My name is James. James from Oregon, state of Oregon, in the west coast of America. I'm a lawyer back home, but I've also been in the reserves for many years, following my active duty service. Why are Americans over there? Because the ones like you, like me, who are aware that there's a bigger picture in all this, do realize that there's more at stake here than just Russia and Ukraine settling old scores. It's my opinion, and this is not just a personal opinion. I think it's backed up by not only my education but my experiences as well, is that either this is the first battlefield of a potential World War III or it's the last. What I mean by that is no reasonable person, no Ukrainian, no American, no Polish person wanted this war. But war it is. Mr. Putin chose this war, and sometimes wars come to us. I'm a veteran of a few different wars, and I can say that the only way to end a war is to end it. And Putin needs to be ended in Ukraine. His forces need to suffer not only a military beating there, but it needs to be catastrophic and turn into a political beating for Russia to the point where it could cause his ouster. But more importantly, it needs to send a message to the entire world that these types of atrocities, these types of invasions are not going to be tolerated. They're not going to be tolerated, and we're not going to put a label on countries that, oh, you're not part of NATO, we're not going to go fight for you. That's wrong. These are human beings. I think that's a cop-out. And I wonder what excuses NATO or the U.S. will use if Russia succeeds here and goes rolling into Latvia, Estonia, or Lithuania, which are NATO countries, but which also are very easy targets on Putin's right flank. The message here is that aggression, barbarity, wars on terror like this can never be tolerated, especially when, number one, there was no provocation by Ukraine. Number two, the combined forces of NATO and the U.S. have the easy ability not only to stop this, but more so to allow Ukraine to get the upper hand and advantage by giving them surface-to-air missiles, more artillery, more ammunition, so they, and they alone, can finish the job. And having just come from there, I can tell you, they don't want men, they don't want soldiers, there's plenty of them, but they need artillery, they need ammunition, they need an air shield, they need surface-to-air missiles. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a war of attrition that ultimately we will lose.
So you don't think we should put boots on the ground ourselves?
Not yet.
Okay. Why?
Because Ukrainians are very proud people. They're very capable infantry. They're very highly motivated. They're defending their land. They're defending their sweethearts. They're defending their ancestral areas in ways that, they have ties to their land historically that we don't in America, that we can't identify with. So my experience as an American military officer is, I'll give you an example, morale. For every one soldier who's highly motivated, fighting for their own soil, who's very well equipped and has that high morale, they're worth 10 of the enemy that doesn't have that same corresponding morale. So therefore, the long answer to your question is no, they don't really need men right now. They need these munitions. We need more machine guns. We need more rifles. These are something that people aren't talking about. I can tell you from my firsthand experience, we're running out of machine guns. We're running out of AK-47s. Your prior army, you know the M16. The M16 is a better weapon than the AK-47.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It has better velocity. It has better aim. It can fire in 3-round bursts that are very, very effective. We should be rearming the Ukrainian army with the M16, giving them more light anti-tank weapons, more saws, more munitions like that, plus artillery ammunition and aircraft. Now, the American government had a wonderful opportunity to send MiG-29s over here a couple months ago, which was sponsored by the Polish government, but the American military didn't want to send it over here for fear of provoking Putin. Provoke him to do what? So he's already been provoked. He's already demolished Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, Borovary, Bucha, Irpin, Severodonetsk, every city Russian troops have been near or within an artillery range of, they have completely destroyed. We shouldn't be guided by the principle of fearing Putin or provoking him anymore. We should be guided by the principle of human rights, justice, and from a military point of view, exacting a defeat on Putin and Russia now that the world will remember, and it'll be a reprieve for the Ukrainians who have suffered so much, and it'll avoid the war widening into Europe and into the Pacific. I think the Chinese are watching this. I think if Russia succeeds there, they go for Taiwan. If they go for Taiwan, the Japanese will come in, so will South Korea, Australia. Now you have a specter of a two-front war that America, in my opinion, cannot fight because of our political divide right now. So there's much more going on here than just the battlefield in Ukraine. So.